We are live from Dean and Steve's excellent sourcing adventure.
From deep in the hole.
You're deep in the hole. I decided to wear the my special sourcing ain't dead hat. You know, sourcing is definitely not dead. But actually, Dean, we got a
Sure.
couple of things to talk about today. I think
Yep.
are pretty important. As we're getting towards the end of the year, you and I have been talking about this for an exceptionally long time.
Yep.
We know our feelings, but I think we should let the audience know. There seems to be, I can't say prevailing, but perhaps pervasive sense that sourcing is dead. How can that? How can that be?
Uh,
How can that be? I mean, every recruiter I talk to, I show them things, the sourcing things, the things that you and I do,
mhm.
and it's it's a revelation. So where is this sourcing is dead coming from?
uh, you know, I think it's less about people saying sourcing is dead and more about people saying, hey, if we say sourcing is dead because A, B, C, D, E, meaning ChatGPT, our tool can source for you and blah, 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 they feel they can make a bit of headway and drive people to their whatever ChatGPT, the tool that sources for you and everything.
Yeah.
However, the reality is it's wrong. I mean, if we go under the presumption that Facebook has 3.5 billion people, and it's pretty accurate actually because they
Yeah.
got rid of a bunch of people. We know there's no tool out there that has 3.5 billion people. Sorry. So therefore, they don't have everybody. And as far as ChatGPT goes, when ChatGPT can make a better Boolean string than me and quicker than me, then I'll consider it because right now it can't and it doesn't. So I just think it's people trying to push a narrative in the hopes that that narrative will take hold, kind of like LinkedIn, and push people to use their tools more or use their whatever more. That's my own opinion.
So are you intimating that this sourcing is dead? It's like Paul is dead from the Beatles. Paul, play Abbey Road backwards, and you hear Paul is dead. Paul is dead. Sourcing is dead. Sourcing is dead.
You
Is
know,
that?
there are many people on here is going to know that.
I
Right?
know that. I know. So are you saying that it's a marketing ploy?
Yep.
You don't need a sourcing team. Give your recruiters source well. Sorry, I mean Sourcewell is actually. I couldn't think of a company, make up a company name. Sourcewell is a real company, and they're good people. So I didn't mean to denigrate those. I apologize.
They use some cosmic sourcing or some stupid thing like that.
Okay, cosmic sourcing. That's right. Sourcing GPT or something like that.
Exactly.
The funny thing about it is, and and this is where I find I've been getting an audience a lot lately is automation is fun, and I wrote about this 7 years ago in the article "Artificially Stupid Recruiting"
Yep.
over on the other sourcing site,
Yeah.
and uh, you know you can ask Chat. Yeah, look, I used ChatGPT this morning to get a list of the top 25 companies in steel manufacturing in the U.S. It went much quicker. And then when it came to writing a Boolean, here's the challenge with using all these tools. If you are not well versed, and I mean really knowledgeable in the excellence of Booleans, if you will, and an automated platform spits out results, how do you know they're right?
You
What
don't.
do you don't? What are you assessing it against? Um, it's 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 really heavy on the marketing side. I think all this stuff is, the sourcing is certainly it's a cost. It's a spend. It's a line item that uh, it is still somewhat murky in terms of its impact. I mean, we know what it is. I helped write an 8-tab white paper on sourcing metrics, but we haven't done a very good job of inculcating that in the same way that a metric like cost per hire has made its way into recruiting in an almost nonsensical fashion. But I certainly don't. Average sourcing let's be honest. Tiffany Liabras, really good. Comment. ChatGTP needed real people to keep their company intact. It will not take our jobs. It won't take our jobs. It will push out the average or below average sourcer. I have no problem saying that. But that person has the the ability to raise themselves up to a much higher level if they want.
I'm not even sure that it's going to. So, okay, so I've done a lot of work with ChatGPT because I've been curious about a lot of things, and I'll spell it out. I ask it to write an X-ray search into LinkedIn for a Java developer. It writes it. It's wrong. Analyze Boolean string. It's perfect. Okay, I write my Boolean string. Took me less time than it took ChatGPT. I put it in there, say analyze Boolean string. It's perfect. They both can't be perfect because they're not written the same way. One's going to find what you really want. The other one's not. The other one's going to find jobs. It's going to find posts. It's going to find a whole bunch of crap because it's generic. ChatGPT can help you, but it's not a replacement. Like what Steve said. You know how I use it? I was doing a search for people that work for particular companies. As I asked it for a list of those types of companies, it gave me lists. I said, take above list, make an order string. It made an order string. I copied it. Great. Did that perfect. That's it. It cannot do advanced Boolean. It really can't do much else. It can tell you what job developer is, which is cool.
Yeah.
And I have it's called Merlin. It's always up. It's always on. It's analyzing everything I do, and it's great. And I read what it says. It's generically correct, but I don't think your hiring managers want generic. I mean, if they want generic, they can just go ahead and use Indeed to get generic. I don't think your hiring manager wants to see the same people over and over and over again because that's what it's going to do. Just get the same people over and over again because it can't think.
There's a statistical concept, and many here have heard me talk about it before. It's called regression to the mean.
Yep.
And that's where as the size of your data set, as the size of your population increases.
Wait a minute. Tiffany, my bodyguard's on. Remember? She used to. It was a joke when we were at conferences that she was my bodyguard.
Yes. No, but the interesting thing is that the more the data sets that are used to train these models they're out there, and there's a lot of data, but there's the feedback, the quality element of it, it's still missing. Look, in time, I'm certain that technology will be able to do fairly automatically what we do, ourselves right now. But then the really great people, if your foundation is solid, I mean, really solid, and you really understand how sites are structured, how data is structured, if you know your jobs, if you know your industries, if you're continuously learning and continuously challenging yourself to learn new things, we'll always be here. But if you want to get by with average, then you're playing with fire when it comes to these technologies.
Yeah, pretty much.
Those will. You're the type of person that the technology will supplant with the technology. So I have no problem with that at all.
I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. I was just a bad
The thing is this. Let's, for argument's sake, we find something that can actually create a decent Boolean string. Awesome. Get your Boolean string, get you 1,000 results. Who's going to go through those 1,000 results and determine which ones are the ones worth contacting, worth not contacting? Who's going to find the contact info and do all these things? And in there lies the problem. Even if I get 1,000 people automatically using a tool that exists right now, I'm not going to get any names, I still have to look at them and decide which ones really are the ones I want. I have to decide, do I want to add more things maybe to this to narrow it down, or do I not want to? These are things something like a ChatGPT just really can't do, because all it knows is what it knows, and it doesn't know what it doesn't know. And unfortunately, what it doesn't know is a lot.
And the other part is, with data, it's the GIGO principle: garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
Um, there are, it's well known. People aren't good at writing resumes or profiles. Um,
Yeah.
Professional resume writers, as a whole, generally write generic resumes and stuff.
Yeah.
So the more that, and I'm almost channeling my inner Amy Miller, is, you have so many charlatans out there
Yep.
who are claiming to have the solution to everything, and what they're doing is they're creating generic, regression to the mean, where so much stuff out there is going to be very, very similar.
Yeah.
How to distinguish it? That's a nuance, and that's where, in a highly experienced, highly knowledgeable sourcer or recruiter or both, they know how to read between the lines. They know that if something is mentioned but something is not mentioned, then it's likely that the third thing is likely there.
Yeah.
And then they're going to go and say, I think you should ask the question, what's the alternative with automation? What, to stack rank them and never actually have a conversation? That doesn't that is just anathema to me.
I tell you right now, I get calls every once in a while from automated calling systems about jobs. I hang up immediately, and they do it again. I hang up. Usually about the third time I get a real person, and they actually ask me, "Why do you hang up?" Because if you want to recruit me, I want to talk to a human being, not a freaking robot that really can't answer the questions I might have. All it can do is give me the generic company line. I don't, and I think that's what a lot of these tools don't realize. A lot of these companies don't realize. And as far as charlatans, I mean, let's get real. The whole term AI is borderline charlatan. There is no real AI. None. Do you see CPO standing behind me or data? No, there's no real AI. It's machine learning on steroids that can figure some stuff out. Great, grab your freaking license.
I mean, we have artificial intelligence. It's what our wives tell us a lot.
Oh well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
But
to be honest, actually, it's interesting, Gavin. That's a good. I think we're going to get to that one in a second. Fred makes a good point. Fred Melvin out in the state of Washington, he goes, he's right. It's, the marketing. We are pummeled. Everett was pummeled with, the age of, ZipRecruiter. We'll find you that our what do they say, our AI, I don't know if they say AI or machine learning, or our algorithms will find that it's the right person right then for you, and we'll do it for a very low price. And people hear this say, if you're bombarded with a message, albeit wrong, over and over again, then you're going to believe it after a while. That's not to say ZipRecruiter doesn't work for many businesses. In many instances, it's good enough for recruiting. It really is. But when you start getting into, certain, other, esoteric areas, it's not there yet. And you don't believe the hype. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
the reality is, all these AI tools have limitations. They only have what they have. ZipRecruiter only has what they have. Indeed only has what they have. All these other tools only have what they have. A good sourcer can find what they don't have. And here's what's going to happen. Because they only have what they have, and yeah, maybe they'll add a few here and there, you're going to get to a thing which is going on right now that I hear a lot from a lot of hiring managers, not just like mine, others. They're tired of seeing the same people over and over and over and over again, because LinkedIn limits to 1,000 results, and you can only see the same people over. Well, let me help you out. If you have a Java developer job and you stick it in ZipRecruiter, we're picking on ZipRecruiter, it'll spit out the results. If a month later you go ahead and put job developer in there, it's going to spit out the same damn results. You're not getting anybody new unless somebody new signs up.
Yeah, I mean, there's not as much churn. It's not just ZipRecruiter. And it's not just Indeed. It's all of them. Think of the, job seeker behavior. If you're out there and you're like everyone else, you're going to put yourself on all these sites, and so by default, you're going to wind up in a search. somewhere along the line, and it's going to be the same somewhere else. And then, eventually, let's say a company is subscribed to many different platforms, they're going to see the same people. Then they're going to question, what is recruiting doing? And then it becomes a very, very slippery slope. Sources, if we're continuously training our brain, if we're continuously educating ourselves, that's, by the way, a hand that you should be. We're going to find the people that are not in this generic buffet that everyone eats at 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoons.
Agreed. So I was just talking to somebody on Monday who needed some help with something, and the help he needs is his CTO to get his head out of his behind, but we won't go into that detail. He wants someone who isn't an architect, technology, but they have to be from a top 5 school.
Why?
They have to have a pedigree as far as companies, one of those Google's, Microsoft's, in several years, and they have to be a director, but the position they want to hire him for is a lead/manager, and it's a 50-person company. First of all, no director level architect that has that kind of a pedigree is going to go work for a 50-person company. Just not, and we're not going to get into the fact that salary is about a third of what they would normally make. So I said, okay, great opportunity. Let's go ahead and mess with ChatGPT. ChatGPT couldn't do jack crap with the search. Had no idea. I had to go list top computer science schools, create an OR string, list top companies for computer science people, degreed people, make an OR string. And then I had to put the OR string together, which ended up being too long. And then I had to figure out where am I going to search.
Yeah.
Then I said, okay, let's do this. Find me a resume of a Java architect that went to a top school and was working for a top company. That's basically what it said. Okay, so that's going to replace me? Really? Or you, Steve, or any of you for that matter?
Well, I think the one thing here, the replacement thing, we've talked about this ad infinitum. There are 2 types of recruiters, and I'm lumping everybody into recruiter, sourcer, employment brander, whatever the case may be. There are the order takers, the wait staff. It's tell me what you want on the menu. The person orders and they get what they want. The other person is the talent advisor, who knows the landscape, who uses talent intelligence, who does market mapping, who is up to date on all the happenings in within industries or with functions, and they can take a request from a hiring manager and inform them whether that in fact is doable or not, how much it's going to cost, what the pain and suffering of trying to get someone like that here is. We're advisors. We're not simply, we don't just write the order down on a menu and bring it to the kitchen cooks it and it's brought out and you get a little tip. Hey, thanks a lot for great service down the line.
I think what the difference is, an order taker gives what's asked for. The talent advisor gives what they really need, because the reality is most hiring managers really don't know what they need. They only know what they want, and what they want usually isn't what they need.
The funny part about that one is, we know as far as doing intake discovery sessions, I know I can't remember the last time I simply just spoke to the hiring manager. I'll also talk to the senior people on the team. I do 360. I get a sense of what's really needed around the block, to have a much clearer picture, quite frankly, because I want to be able to answer questions of people who I contact. Let's do something here for a second. Gavin popped in a comment. How do we know that platforms like SeekOut, HireEasy have actually scraped 700 million profiles? And how is the data structured so our Boolean search finds what we're looking for? Straight out, both Dean and I know the HireEasy and SeekOut people very well. They have a very structured way of scraping, of finding, and structuring, and putting all this stuff into a database.
Both tools actually got a hold of recruiters and sourcers and talked to them before they created their tools. So
Yeah, we spoke to both of them individually with regards to many of their internal algorithms. Ultimately, it goes down to when someone tries to sell you an AI tool for TA. I half jokingly, mostly I don't joke about it. I go, okay, well, who's the AI? Who's the expert who helped you build your algorithms?
Yep.
Have they shown you how it's done? And or do you just do it yourself? Did you make a rectilinear assumption and pull an algorithm out of and then say that's how we do it? What data did you use to train it? What was the data set look like? Tell me about it. What was the database scheme? What was the scheme in it? Tell me about it.
Where are you getting your data from for that?
They can't do it.
That's between a good one of these and a bad one. The good ones will have contacted some of the, what's the words I want to use, because I hate the terms. Some of the terms people use. People that have been in the industry for a long time. Let's
Chad, let's call it. Really, OGs, sourcing experts, people who understand. Not just the technology, but and not just one narrow space, but a whole big gestalt aspect of the field. And straight out the best ones, again, the CGUTs, the High-Resi, they're good. But no platform is perfect, and that's why when you do demo these platforms, use the same identical suite of jobs and use the same process to assess and test all of them, and then just pick the one that's best for you. Ultimately,
yeah. The thing to remember, I mean, even Steve and I use these tools.
Absolutely.
We just don't rely only on these tools. There's the difference. You want me to tell you how I use some of these tools? I'll tell you real simple. I use my own tool I created. I find a bunch of people. I scrape it to get URLs. I'll stick it into one of those tools to find contact. It'll find me 70 to 80% of the contacts, and then the rest I use my tool to find. The tools have uses. We're not saying they don't have uses. We're saying they are not the end all be all. They're not. We're not saying that if you have it, you don't need anything else, because that's not a true statement. Plus, let's remember, tools can go up and down. Both of the main tools, CGUT and High-Resi, have gone down because of AWS or whatever for periods of time. What are you going to tell your hiring manager? I'm sorry, I can't do my job. My tool's down. And they're going to say, you fired, because you should be able to do your job without it. Now, if the internet goes down, okay, fine. But if the internet goes down, we got a bigger problem than worrying about hiring people.
And therein lies another interesting thing that we talk about offline. We talk about quite a bit. There is a massive global reliance in TA on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn knows this. Has anyone seen their Fred? I'm curious about it. Are you seeing your LinkedIn recruiter seats decrease in pricing?
Oh, hell no.
Oh, hell no.
But
are you seeing more things put behind paywalls? Yes. What if LinkedIn goes down, or suddenly your CFO says, "Man, our LinkedIn spend it's too much. We have to really cut down the spend." What do you do then?
I know,
and others knew. And they just announced a huge milestone on LinkedIn users. Did they say they have 1 billion registered members now? What was the milestone?
Shouldn't be 1 billion, because they only had 600 something million less than a year ago.
I know, but LinkedIn would do that. They would say, we have.
Yeah. So here's what I really wanted them to do one day. They'll never do this though. We have X number of real individual living profiles. And you know why they'll never do that? Because it's about a third of what they say they have. Because I know for a fact there are people that are deceased on there. I know for a fact that there are people with 13 and 14 profiles. I know for a fact there are fake profiles and bots. I every time I find one, I send it to LinkedIn. LinkedIn sends me back notes saying thanks, but we're good, basically. So
I'm just looking at what's really funny is
what was the number? Because I remember seeing it, but I didn't pay much. I don't pay attention much.
no,
But
to David Marr says they've claimed 1 billion.
well, they're full of. Oops, sorry.
And so that's really, I'm right now, I'm going right now just on LinkedIn. You're going to actually get a kick on this one here. So of these 1 billion, I'm looking at, there are, oh, no. Give me a second. I'm trying to type as fast as I can.
And then when that 1 billion, while you do that, I wonder if that includes company profiles as well as personal profiles, as well as group profiles. Yeah, I would like to see the number behind that, because I do not think that there. I call baloney.
Here's a funny one that I just, and this is just, back in 2015 on RD, I wrote an article called "The Cartoon Characters on LinkedIn." I believe at the time there might have been 385 million. And the number jumps out at me, but I decided to take a look at the list of the top cartoon characters of all time and see if how many of them had LinkedIn profiles. The numbers were astronomical. By the way, I just found out of the over 1 billion people, Mr. Marr, there are 49 people whose name is, I'm going to put it in the chat, I need a job.
I need a job. Yeah.
I need his accent thing. And the other one is, what's really funny is, here's another one that one of my all-time favorites on LinkedIn is, let me see if they show it here. There are, hold on a second. There are filters. This is really important. Boom. Keywords, people. They actually finally, fixed. They actually fixed when there were a significant number of people whose names were jack shit. If someone says you don't know jack shit, you can say, sure I do. They're on LinkedIn. But they finally cleaned that one up. I certainly made us think about that. There are so many fake profiles on there. Go look at the number of political people. I'm not going to name a name, but there are many of those fake profiles out there. Anytime you bend over, there are many there are physicians whose name are bend over, which is just ridiculous. So LinkedIn can claim number of job seekers. There are not a billion job seekers on LinkedIn. There are
there's only 640 people named Bendover on LinkedIn.
Okay, well, that's just, come on, man, be serious. So that's a funny thing there. So I think, what do you think about the state of sourcing in 2024? What's your gut about how we're going to come out of the last 18 months of TA carnage? Leslie, thanks for coming in. We'll see you soon.
Later, Leslie.
Yes. What do you think about the state of of sourcing, the state of recruiting, 2024?
I think there's going to be a bounce back. I think as people understand the limitations of the technology and start realizing that rather than spending $10,000 on a LinkedIn recruiter license, they're better off having a sourcer that can do more. My own opinion, I think there's going to be a little bit of backlash as companies learn the limitations of certain tools. I mean, it's already happening for some companies. Like I said, I get calls from people going, my hiring manager doesn't want to see anybody from LinkedIn. What do I do? Well, here's what you do. My hiring manager doesn't want to see anybody I get off Indeed. Well, here's what you do. And why? Because they're seeing the same people over and over and over and over and over again. There are hiring managers out there. If they're recruiter, if you found them on any job board, I don't want to see them, because if they're that good, they wouldn't be on a job board. Well, that's not necessarily true. But the problem is you got to have a recruiter willing to fight back against that a little bit. But the point of the matter is, it's still going to be the same people. I tell you right now, if I do a search in Monster and I do a search in Career Builder and I do the same search 96% of people are going to be the same.
Yeah.
And yet there are companies out there that have both. Why? When a good recruiter who can source can find you people that aren't there. I want the people that when I do sourcing, I usually try to find people that look good, that really meet all the qualifications on it, but I know aren't really out there. And given the industry I'm in, Lockheed Martin and everything like that, that's not hard for me to do because frankly, most of what we're looking for aren't on LinkedIn. And I think that, and I only say this because, like I said, I see it happening. I get calls, I get emails all the time, and it's just hiring managers are getting tired of seeing the same things over and over again. And then the people who hold the purses, they're looking at the spend and realizing that a good sourcer can make up for it. If you've got and here's a great example because a friend of mine did. He's got 10 sourcers. They all have LinkedIn licenses. He took 5 of them away. So he had 5 with and 5 without, and then did a comparison. The ones with, and he gave training for the ones without, so they knew how to do sourcing and all that. And I know it because I trained them.
Yeah.
The ones without LinkedIn destroyed because they could find the people on LinkedIn if they want to for less money, but they could find other people and they destroyed. And then the comparison wasn't just hires. It wasn't just that. It was the hiring managers feeling. What did they feel? And most hiring managers loved what was going on with the people without LinkedIn because they knew they were seeing people that weren't LinkedIn centric or may be LinkedIn centric, but they're not part of the 1,000 that we only get limited in seeing. They're part of the 5 or 10,000 that we never see.
Yeah. Craig White makes a good point about
Craig.
Not only, limitations on technologies and tools. Hiring managers don't want to work to find candidates.
No.
Yeah, I want to rephrase that a little bit. It's they want fast. Firstly, most managers think recruiting is very easy. If you ask most of them, they're going to say, "Well, you just post it and good people will show up." Well, number one, we know that's not the case. We know that we post a job. What's the disposition rate for people who just don't fit for any number of reasons? It's what, 98%. It's exceptionally, maybe not 98%, but it's well above 90% for most professional jobs. But they think that's how it's done. You post a job, good people will come. You post a job on Monday morning, they expect, well, where are the resumes? Monday afternoon. Part of being a great talent advisor is, in fact, educating them, teaching the unteachable, bringing a few of them over to our side to see what actually goes into, sourcing people, engaging them, writing a job description that doesn't suck, things of that nature. That's where I think, 2024, if this profession is going to, beat off the poor choice of words, is going to be minimally impacted by automation, we're going to have to be more knowledgeable and spend more time, immersed in with the people that we support, and taking them to places that we go, going to meetings with them, reading, emails, industry newsletters together, just simply sourcing together. If you really want to get a manager on your side, source with them. Anyway.
Yeah, when I was at Microsoft, I owned the security business unit, and they were a nightmare to work for from what everybody told me. And one of the first things I did was establish the process, but then part of that process was they all had to sit and source with me. So they all spent time in an office in their building sourcing with me. And once they started seeing what goes into it and seeing how difficult it is, they changed their tune quite a bit. Not only did they change the tune, but the information I got of what they were looking for changed. It started being a lot easier, a lot more specific and targeted, rather than they started thinking about what they really need as opposed to what they want. Really, a project manager needs to be a CISSP person that isn't nowhere. Nobody has it. Nobody needs it at the time. There's only 5 in the country that had. I mean, and they started understanding, going, you know what? Don't need it. Don't need this. Don't need this. This is what I want. And basically, I went from this big long list to 3 things. I need this, this, this done, and they knew how the sourcing went, so they knew to give us time.
And that brings up a really good point. It's, you know, it's more than just searching LinkedIn. You know, the this profession becomes exceptionally useful if you are able to, you know, manage that intake session. We all know the hiring managers that say, you know, just send me all the resumes that come in. I'll know it when I see it.
Yeah.
And the first line is, you know, if you're not saying, well, if you can't describe for me what it is you're looking for, how will you know it when you see it? You know, you have to open your mouth and speak for the voiceless. You know, don't just become a bobblehead. I mean, that's my one big hope for 2024 and you know, sourcing and recruiting and all of TA is don't be a bobblehead. Don't just, you know, think that the hiring manager has all the answers and go, that's a good idea. Okay, I'll find those people. That's, you know, thank you very much. You know, be that voice of excellence, be that voice of knowledge. And if you know that they're wrong, say it.
But make sure if you're going to say it, have facts to support you. As long as you have the facts to support you, you don't have to worry about speaking up to a hiring manager. That's what I tell the people at Lockheed or any company. I just did it a couple of weeks ago. Say, there's a problem. Let me look at the data. Data supports what I recommend. So let's go talk to the hiring manager. Not my hiring manager. I don't talk directly to him normally. So I talked to him. I said, well, here's reality is. Here's the location you look for. There's the number of people. Here's the salary range you look for. And here's where it sits in the market. Here's this and here's this. You're not going to find a job developer with 10 years experience paying $50,000 a year in Norway, Nebraska.
Yeah. So what do you want? So what do you want to give up? If your budget's your budget, then I'll work within the budget, but this is the best you're going to get. And you and take your data, present it to them. You know, they may in fact go up and say, well, you know, Dean, Steve, I don't like them. They have bad attitudes. You have to be prepared for pushback from people who don't understand the market. But you know, but that's on you. A couple other comments that are in here. Anthony, that's funny about, you know, but program managers. One of my favorite. Look, I think there's an adolescent in me that comes out from time to time. If you look for a job title on LinkedIn, pubic relations, you will see how many people in PR have misspelled the word. So yeah, you know, is that something that AI is necessarily going to uncover? Maybe, maybe not. Steph, educating your hire managers is absolutely the key. That is something that until you get the hiring manager to become an ambassador for TA, and by being an ambassador for TA, it's a manager who when they read an article in their field, or they go to a conference and they meet somebody, they're excited. They come back to you with names. They said, "Look, I think this person might be right for us. Do you think you can find their contact information? And I'll be happy to email." When your managers are like that, then you know you're on the right path. A couple of the questions. Niha Wadera, what are those sourcing platforms that we can use for DEI software engineering roles? They're the same platforms you can use for any DEI roles, quite frankly. It really depends on.
I want to spell out DEI for everybody. Not everybody may know what it is.
Okay, diversity, equity, and inclusion. But essentially, you know, it really all depends on what category. You know, when my teams do diversity sourcing, at least here in the States, North America, there are eight categories. Whether you like it or not, these are the 8 categories that I use are in no special order: people of color, women, LGBTQIA, etc., Latino, Hispanic, veterans, people with disabilities, people who are neurodiverse and indigenous
And
people.
over a certain age. I
That
think
too.
55 now.
Well, 40, actually above 40 is really where you always start, believe it or not. And so, all the sourcing platforms, the big ones have the ability, the Hire Easy and the C counts, they have diversity filters. And they're pretty darn good. You do get some false positives because there are names that are gender neutral, but they're all good
How,
and
the,
they all work.
how do you share on this thing?
Present at the very bottom.
Oh, okay, there it is. Yeah, I'm so used to looking for the word share as opposed to that. So let me show you guys something real quick. You should be able to see it. Software engineer doesn't help me a whole lot, so I'm going to go with Java developer because that's a little bit more specific. Just because it's software developer is kind of generic. Okay, so and you got to spell it right, which I suck.
Yes, you do.
I always do that. That's one of the things I do a lot of. My wife thinks it's hilarious. First of all, what do you really need to do this? Let's look up a diversity CSC, a custom search engine built for diversity. What would you like to see as far as the jobs are? You want a woman, a Hispanic, an Asian American, a gay or lesbian, a veteran, a disability, or minority. And that's without any of those tools. Expensive.
And incidentally, there are, many of our friends have built CSEs
Yep.
for a variety of things. And I know on your start.me page, Dean,
Yes.
you have so many of these CSEs listed.
Yeah. And it's built right into my tool as well. There's a whole section on diversity right here. Just pick what you want. You want to do a veteran search on LinkedIn? There you go. These are all veterans who are job developers. There you go. Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines. So, I mean, finding DEI people, I'm going to stop sharing now, is not hard if you know where you're looking and you know how to put together a good Boolean string. That's
really what it boils down to.
I have a set of posts on recruiting on the ERE site about diversity, about the different words used to find diversity. You stick this or this or this along with Java developer, and boom, there you go. Or you can use my tool because they're already built, or you can use one of the other tools that already have it.
There was something else here. Where was this here? Here's a good one here. For example, it also education. People don't believe it. And I have them listed here. This is an interesting site. If you want to, if you're in, for example, looking for software engineers here in North America, this is a site that is the sisterhood of Native American coders.
Yep.
There are sites for every blessed group. Honestly, we can do the research. You can do the research yourself. You can do the searching yourself. Maybe even maybe even ChatGPT will be helpful.
It'll probably list. You could probably get it to list the organizations.
Absolutely, the major ones, absolutely. But when you start getting into these nuanced areas, from a sourcing standpoint, rather than just, we may be inclined to, if you're looking for an association for something for a certain group of people, you may site search org, but maybe you want to site search IO, or maybe you want to go to IANA and look for all the different top level domains that are possible. I mean, there is so much more there for sourcing that then you'll see on these platforms. These platforms are incredible time savers, though, and
why to use the site Sisterhood of Native American Coders, you have to get an account. It's behind a firewall.
Yeah, it is, and I have one.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about these things is they want to help each other out. I mean, if you want to, for example, this is one of my favorite ones. I like this one here. You also need an account here. LinkedIn AI. Is that what it is?
Interestingly enough, there is a group called the Sisters of Native American Coders on LinkedIn, and now
it's the same one.
Yeah, now all you have to do is figure out how to get access without joining, which there is a way.
There's a way. Like another one here, you want, and I've showed quite a few friends of mine. This is this site here from a diversity standpoint.
Hey, Steve, hang on a minute. My screen is not on. Somebody asked for the URL for the tool I was using. I stuck it in there twice. Is my yeah, there it is. Okay, so people
Yeah,
are
and I put it in there too. Like here's another interesting site here. It's a global community of Latinx and AI professionals.
yep.
It's free to join, and there are thousands upon thousands of people there. So, if anybody ever tells you that, doing diversity sourcing and recruiting is hard, you can say, sure, it's hard, but it's not impossible. And it takes more than just sourcing and engaging. It takes branding. I mean, you can't just go out and source. Think you're going to source people. There has to be a reason. There has to be a pull, a connection between the people who you're sourcing and the ethos of your company. So be aware of those things, and you know don't just source or recruit in a vacuum. Bring in the branding people. Bring in the marketing people. Look at how look at the SEO of your website. uh, Go look at your social media presence in not just recruiting related but everything related. Are you an attractive company to the people you covet? And frankly, in many cases, people find when they start delving into it and looking at the data that they're not, and that is pretty critical. Let's move on to a couple of other things. I'm looking at the time here. Is we have some questions from the audience, so I'd say
Let's do it.
let's do it here. This is from our buddy Fred at state of Washington. He writes, I saw Steve comment recently on someone's LinkedIn post about hiring managers being the ones who write job ads. I will clarify this for you, Fred. We have made great effort to put recruiters in the lead of writing good ad copy. How do you structure plan hiring managers? Thank you, Fred, for that. What I was saying is, if recruiters alone, I view everything we do in TA as a collaborative effort. And the reason why I like to get hiring managers to write something is, number one, to have skin in the game. But number two, it's to see, from my point of view, do they even know what they're talking about? Are there things that they're writing? Are there things that are being left out for on this marketing, on this message, on this JD? I tend to lean towards, and this, Fred, the talent advisor position, which means I do a lot of my homework ahead of time before the intake sessions. I typically know what the key deliverables are, or some sense of those things. And then it's like I used to write with our dearly departed Derek Zeller. We'd write articles collaboratively. I'd write a line, and then he'd write a line. I'd write a line, and he'd write a line. I've done that with intake sessions in terms of writing copy and deliverables. Oh man, that is money there. When you can work with your hiring manager, and you can get them into working with you. To Anthony's point, some hiring managers have great insight into what can attract a person to their field and want to do their job. I want to hear that.
A lot of what I do or did when I dealt with hiring managers a lot, research is part of sourcing. You got to research to know what you're looking for. Well, there's also internal research. You want to know, okay, who else is current? You got a job you got to fill. You're going to have your intake meeting. Talk to some of the people who just filled the job just like it in the same group. Look at who have been interviewed for the position. See if they're silver medalists. Do your research on location, on education, on salaries, because it may have changed. And I always say, okay, based on all this and based on what I got, I think this is what they look for. I'm going to bring a couple with me as an example and my computer. And then I'm going to have a conversation with the hiring manager, and we're just going to go through it all. We're going to X this out, move this out. And by the time we're done, we have a collaborative idea of what we want. a job description. They've seen a few people. They know what it's like to sourcing because I did it right there with them. And they also know I've done all this research ahead of time, which gives you something that you need with a hiring manager: credibility.
Very, very much so. A final point to Fred is, how do you structure the intake sessions?
There's a form on the SSAR page for that you can download for free.
Yeah, and there are two other things. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, go to I'm going to pop the LinkedIn profile in. Go to the featured section, and go look for there's a deck about the intake session, and my intake session. There are 5 areas to it. I have most of the questions there. It's quite frankly, they work and they've been time tested. Also, because we love her, adore her. If you go to don't hate me, Brooke. If you go to chapter 5 of the Robot Proof Recruiter by our friend Katrina Collier, there's an entire section on the intake session. Fred, you knew that.
If you go to, I put it in the link there. It's the SSAR page 2, and you go to the section that says Cheat Sheet Plus. At the very bottom, it says Intake Meeting.
Yeah, and I have. If anybody wants one, ping me and I'll send you an Excel spreadsheet that I have.
Yeah, or me.
Or both of us. Secondly, so Lou Valencia from Chainlink. Lou and I worked together a little bit at Timo. Lou, I'm gonna smack you, brother. He goes, how would you use AI to find the best engineers in the blockchain industry?
First, there's no such thing as AI, but besides that, now,
what is best engineer mean to you? We got to go. We have to go back and hey, Lou, you call me on this one, my friend. We have to go back and define what best means, and then it's a question of, I would use, I happen to know in this space there's a lot of open source stuff in blockchain. That's where all the magic is really happening. And so we can use ChatGPT to get a sense of what some of these repos might be, and then work backwards. You call me, Lou. I'll get to you on that one here.
So here's an idea for you.
Yeah, Mr. Marr, who do you admire the most in the TA profession and why?
That's an interesting question. Go ahead, Steve.
Oh gosh,
there are a lot of them.
There are a lot of them here. The one I adore, and I'm biased. Jerry Crispin. I view Jerry as the Warren Buffett of talent acquisition. He has done, in my my humble opinion, more to change the way we think about the full 360 of what recruiting is. He has been so eminently influential in candidate experience, which is the part that in the last 18 months of carnage in TA, and then TA folks finally getting a taste of their own medicine, if you will, seeing that candidate experience is absolutely declining and dying. We have to do something about that. Jerry Bother has been so influential in creating and really professionalizing talent acquisition globally.
I agree with Jerry. For me, definitely Jerry. Steve, I'm not saying it because you're sitting here with me. It's just because he's my sounding board for a lot of things. And that to me is, not everybody. I'm an acquired taste. Not everybody can deal with me.
True.
And so Jerry, Steve, definitely probably to the late Derek Zeller for different reasons, though, because, well, long stories. I think it's a matter of not just who it is in TA. I think it depends on different areas within TA.
Very much so.
Yeah, like Shannon hasn't been in TA that long, relatively speaking, to us, but there are things that she is just, I awe of some of the things she does.
Shannon Pritchett from Hire Easy.
Huh?
Shannon Pritchett from Hire Easy.
Yeah, but you got to remember, before that she did other things, and she, so she, there are a lot out there. It's really kind of hard to go through them all. If you look, and I hate to do this, if you look on the SSAR page, there's a list of people I think you should follow. Pretty much everybody on that list.
But there are some people who don't get the play. Um, I love Marie Artem,
Yep.
the head of TA at Enterprise Holdings. What she's done to create structure and logical thinking and process, to be able to the point where um, they brought Enterprise brings on people who are coveted by so many other companies. And I guess that's one way to look at, from a human standpoint. Who do people gravitate to? Marie's one. Danielle Monahan, my sister from another mister. We both adore her. She's kooky, but boy, she knows her.
She's awesome. She's back up in Seattle now too.
Yeah, she knows her stuff. She travels a bit though.
Amy Beth.
Amy Beth Quinn. AB, we call her ABQ. She's head of TA for what, EA now.
Yeah, I believe so.
And but she's a quiet, one of these quiet leaders. But it's anybody who, let's talk about our ball. Whether it's Glenn Cathy, or Glenn Guntmacher, who's done so much with sourcing, or
Go ahead and use it.
no. What?
Shally.
Oh, no, of course, Shally, we've been friends, for 25 years. Jimmy Stroud, what Jim has done through the years. Then we have, this newer era of people. You, David, I admire you. You have taken upon yourself to help the profession. What could be more noble than that? I love the Bullion and Bruise crew.
Oh yeah.
Love it. But I'm going to miss everyone simply because there are so many people who give unto themselves, completely unselfishly.
Yep.
To help the profession.
The family.
And who they are. When we go to a conference, after a conference, we have what's known as a family dinner. And in it are the people who have continued to influence us. Everybody on the source core team, Schneider and Torts and Jan and
Keep going.
I just keep going. We're going to forget.
We're running out of time.
Yeah, so let's go. Sharad Mishra from Synchron. Hello. The best sourcing mix. You know what? That's going to be a whole new show. I want to touch upon that.
Music, right?
What?
We're talking about music, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It's funny. I actually have a list. I think it's in my YouTube music, and it's my sourcing list of music that I like to listen to. And it's weird because for me, it's everything from the 40s all the way up to now.
And it's funny. I don't listen to music when I source. I'll listen to some classical music. Let's get one final thing from Marisol Brubaker from a firm, payments.com, Marisol. How do you keep motivated? Dean, how do you keep motivated? I'll tell you how I keep motivated.
I think, it's funny for me, motivating to source is not hard because I love the hunt. I love, if it comes to me, I know it's something that all 100 plus recruiters and sources at Lockheed Martin have tried and couldn't. And I just love that kind of stuff. So for me, it's just the hunt and the opportunity to learn and the opportunity to help. I mean, that's for me. I mean, I'm kind of self-motivated. I'm ex-military, so maybe that's part of the thing. I've learned to be self-motivated and find something and everything to motivate me. And for me, it's just knowing the hunt. I'm helping people, and I enjoy things like that and doing, because I always have to do something I've never tried before. So for me, it's that.
I'm very similar. It's like I'm going to channel my little Greg Hawkes with professional wrestling. I know
That's what next.
with Phil Brooks, CM Punk. I am the voice of the voiceless.
Oh God.
But the funny thing is, but that part it was, growing up as an engineer, and seeing how recruiters just shat on me. When back at point, I graduated in 1980. So back then it took 10 years to get the word senior in a job title. But I remember just the way recruiters just didn't treat you as a human being.
Yeah, I remember that too.
And so I'm motivated by I'm a first, like Dean, we're first responders. It's just in our DNA. It's just the way it is. And if I see someone being bullied, if I see some sort of indiscretion, I don't close my eyes.
It's if you ever go to any of the events where you see Steve and I at, there's going to be one inalienable thing you're going to notice. If there's something going on, a problem of some sort, we're probably there trying to solve it. That's just because that's the way we are. And that permeates down through everything we do.
And so I keep motivated by knowing that, there's no best sourcer, there's no best recruiter, there's no best in brander. There's simply a journey, and each step you take opens yourself up to more steps and more views and more vistas, and it's the Lewis Carroll down the rabbit hole. I just love it. I just love rabbit holes. I love the profession. I love the people in it. I love the vendors in it.
And as much
With them all.
as long as I hate to quote Miley Cyrus, it's about the climb. It's not about where you're at. It's not about where you're going. It's the climb to get there.
You listen to Miley Cyrus?
Dude, I have a daughter and grandkids. Think about it for a minute.
No, I don't want to. It's scaring me.
You've met well, no, you haven't met Yeah, you met
Yeah, yes, I have. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, of course I've had to listen to Miley Cyrus. I've had to watch freaking High School Musical too. What's your point?
On that note, on that note, we will see you at the end of December.
Oh, is that when the next one is?
Yeah, this next one is the end of December, and it's like,
oh, you messed up. Brooke likes Miley, so there.
Whatever. Okay, so end of December. Send us your questions. Connect with us on the Blue Devil.
Yeah, and send us positions you're struggling to find, and we'll do them live right here and show you exactly how we go about it.
And Fred will tell you if we'll sit with your team and show you stuff.
Yep.
We like doing that, right, Fred? It was fun, right?
You email us, we'll get you on our calendars separately or together, and we'll help you guys out. That's what we do.
Anyway, thank you for joining, Dean and Steve's Excellent Sourcing Journey. Hope it means you're subscribed to RD. Tell us what you want us to talk about. Tell us what you want us to write about. Tell us what you want to hear from us. We're here for you.
That's all, folks.
Well, bye.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good weekend.